Australia and New Zealand discuss Manus Detention Centre. Hundreds join Governor Pakop's walk against gender-based violence. And Kumu sustained a tough match to beat Ireland.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining me with Sunday's news. Refugees at the closed detention centre in Manus continue to camp there, drawing more attention around the world. In Australia, hundreds of protesters gathered outside the Brisbane City Hall on Friday night, protesting against the Australian government's stand not to allow asylum seekers to be brought on shore for processing. Australian Immigration and Border Protection Minister Peter Dutton maintains that it will not accept anyone who attempts to settle in Australia by boat.
It has been 5 days since the Manus Regional Processing Centre in Lombrum was ordered to close on October 31st. However, over 600 refugees are still camping at the closed centre. They are refusing to move to the East Lorengau Transit Centre because of safety reasons. Since October 31st, water, food and electricity services into the detention centre were cut off in compliance with the Supreme Court decision of May 2016. The 600-plus refugees were supposed to have been transferred from Lombrum to East Lorengau. However, most have refused to do so. Instead, they have been camping at the centre. They have dug up a well to collect water and are buying food from the shop to survive. In a statement released by the PNG Immigration and Border Security Minister Petrus Thomas this afternoon, the minister stressed that the detention centre has been decommissioned. Thus, it will not be a simple task to reconnect water or electricity. He further stated that water, accommodation, food and electricity is provided at the new centre. Meanwhile, Commanding Officer of Lombrum Naval Base says areas surrounding the decommissioned facility in Lombrum have been restricted to public, including media personnel. This OC Lombrum explains that most of the asylum seekers have been processed as refugees and that raises concerns of security for locals. Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull met today with New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Arden. Despite their differences on certain issues, both leaders put that aside to work together. Top of the agenda, New Zealand's willingness to take in refugees from the Manus Detention Centre.
Trans-Tasman greeting despite the weather being more reminiscent of Wellington than Sydney and issues that could have caused a chill. Most prominently, the plight of the refugees currently barricaded in Australia's closed detention centre on Papua New Guinea's Manus Island. For New Zealand's renewed offer to take 150 of the men, it was a case of thanks, but not today.
We thank New Zealand for making that offer. We're not we are not taking it up at this time.
Australia says it wants to pursue an existing deal where the US takes the refugees first. Jacinda Arden keen to emphasise it's not an outright rejection and she won't bypass Australia to go direct to the PNG government.
No, because the offer is still under active consideration by Australia.
Trade talks also on the agenda at the 2-hour meeting. Ms Arden sticking to her plan to renegotiate part of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, but not necessarily winning over her Australian counterpart.
I think he understands our position, but I think he also understands that we are coming in quite late in the piece as well.
Little headway seems to have been made on the treatment of New Zealanders in Australia, particularly recent efforts to impose a hike on Kiwis' university fees.
Just as we respect New Zealand's right to manage its affairs, I know that New Zealand respects our right to do the same.
The peer dismissing this particular past grievance.
I would find it very hard to build trust with those involved in allegations designed to undermine the Government of Australia.
And clearly keen to find some common ground.
Of course, I made a rather feeble attempt at rapping on a television show recently, so I don't know whether we can...
This is not announcing our joint act.
A new bond made, though its strength is still to be properly tested.
Police from Central and Gulf Commands are patrolling the Hiritano Highway to ensure the travelling public reaches Port Moresby or Malalawa Station safely. The joint operation is a security measure police are taking following the death of a betelnut buyer last week. Police say a heated argument broke out between betelnut traders in a village in the Kairukuhiri district, which resulted in the death of a man. Relatives of the deceased who brought the body to Port Moresby General Hospital morgue last Thursday say they have petitioned the Gulf Governor. Their demands include the Gulf Provincial Government meet funeral expenses. Meanwhile, Gulf Police Commander has issued a temporary ban on all PMVs from Port Moresby to cease travelling the highway. Intergovernment Relation Minister Kevin Isifu says those LLG presidents who have resigned to contest the 2017 national election can no longer hold the LLG office as presidents. Minister Isifu made these remarks after a number of LLG presidents who lost in the elections returned to LLG offices and tried to assume the president's seat. Isifu explained that the LLG Act states clearly that once the president resigns, the deputy president will act on the position until a new president is appointed.
Therefore, I'm reinforcing that those former LLG presidents who have made their own personal decisions to leave the LLG positions to contest the national elections are no longer part of the LLG systems and should not try to come back and cause unnecessary inconveniences.
National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Gender-based violence continues to become an alarming issue in the country and has largely been seen up to now as a women's issue. This morning, hundreds united to make a stand against gender-based violence. NGOs, church groups and state agencies came together to send out a strong message that violent behavior towards women and girls is not acceptable in society. This morning's Walk for Life event also saw departmental heads in attendance, including PNGDF Commander Brigadier General Gilbert Toropo, Police Minister Jelta Wong, Minister for Community Development Sore Eoe, and patron of the walk NCD Governor Poes Pakop.
Commander for NCD Camp Donald Yamasombi, by accident. Accident of just the gender-based violence. Whether you man, you marry, or you pickaninny, you like fighting man, or you feeling full force of the law.
Works and Implementation Minister Michael Nally has challenged the people of Engoram to maximise the use of government services for their own benefit. In a recent visit to Engoram Station, Minister Nally said once the government improves road services in the district, locals must make use of the road to sell goods that will earn them an income.
Giving people the access to goods and services is a priority of the Works Department, and that means building roads that will improve livelihoods of many Papua New Guineans, especially those living in rural areas. Speaking during a visit to Engoram district, Minister Nally said the national government is focused on improving roads in the Sepik region. He says once there are proper roads, districts like Engoram can be a main supplier of betelnut to the Highlands region.
Tani boxer limla na look into long plus something go antabia manesam. Kokona sa. Na you give na la lili diwa groya manem. Boy. On islands was a sangumalo boy. Planti blolem solwaratu kaya molol no fili mol ko pani boy. Balus kile mol to no busy on ko pani boy. Emia dislaya. Em dila diwa pull up lo money. Time government walking road, Arden road, people must plan in first crop.
East and West Sepik have a huge potential in the agriculture sector. However, road accessibility has not allowed this to prosper, and Minister Nale assured the government will prioritize economic viable roads that will not only benefit people but the country's economy as well. He also acknowledged the Sepik Highway as an important link to Indonesia that will possibly boost bilateral trade. In the meantime, he maintained that due to the tough economic status of the country, funding can be a problem to major roadworks. However, the government is focused on priority roads, and how much it is putting to this will be known once it passes its 2018 national budget. Stanley Ove Jr., National EMTV News.
Thomas Ella, a former Assistant Commissioner of Police, has been appointed as acting Southern Highlands Provincial Administrator by the National Executive Council last Friday. Upon announcing this, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill said he needs strong and capable leadership to restructure the public service system and restore confidence in provincial administration. As acting administrator, Mr. Ella will be working closely with the Police Commander Joseph Tondop to improve public order. Ella will be acting on the position for the next 3 months. Stories making headlines overseas when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas, a U.S. soldier who deserted his base in Afghanistan and was captured by the Taliban has been spared jail time. Sergeant Bo Bergdahl was dishonorably discharged, which Donald Trump has described as a complete and total disgrace.
Sergeant Bo Bergdahl arrived in court facing a possible life sentence and left demoted to a disgraced buck private, his Army career over. But he's a free man. In June of 2009, Bergdahl walked off his war zone post in Afghanistan. He carried nothing to protect him but a compass and a Jason-born delusion. Within hours, the Taliban had him. Bergdahl spent 5 years living as a captive in a metal cage before President Obama negotiated his release. Prosecutors wanted him to serve a 14-year sentence. Bergdahl, now 31, told the Sunday Times he realizes many Americans want him executed.
The people who want to hang me, you're never going to convince those people.
One of those people is his commander-in-chief. This was then candidate Trump.
This dirty, rotten traitor. 30 years ago, he would have been shot. Boom, firing squad.
Judge Colonel Jeffrey Nance imposed his sentence without explanation, but said he'd weigh the president's remarks in Bergdahl's favor. Bergdahl's most serious charge was endangering U.S. troops searching for him, like Master Sergeant Mark Allen. Taliban forces shot Allen in the head. He'll never walk or talk again.
Personally, I wanted to see life in prison.
Master-at-Arms Senior Chief Mike Toussaint also looked for Bergdahl. Taliban forces killed his service dog, Remco.
I'm utterly disgusted. As an American, as somebody that served with honor and distinction, I truly believe the punishment does not even come close to fitting the crime.
Bergdahl was dishonorably discharged from the Army. He loses all of his military and veteran benefits, including his access to VA mental health care, which his lawyers say he needs. That type of discharge comes with an automatic appeal.
Police in New Zealand made arrests in South Auckland and Hamilton last night after the Tonga-Samoa Rugby League World Cup. More than 30 arrests were made after hundreds of fans spilled onto the streets after the game.
An air-splitting display that would rival scenes in Waikato Stadium itself. But it didn't take long for some to get carried away. Police seeing red, making 29 arrests for disorderly behaviour. Violence marred the lead up to the clash, players themselves making a last effort to calm supporters.
Show of Pacific spirit.
The message received in Hamilton, police making just 4 arrests. Authorities far busier in Auckland.
Disappointed, it's only a minority, it's only a few who are actually trying to make a point.
Community leaders once again condemning troublemakers over fears international organisers could overlook New Zealand in future.
There was real talent out on that field. That talent is brought up in these streets. We are on show to the world. This is our chance to show we're talented, we're unique, we're beautiful.
Like these fans in Auckland, still celebrating more than 15 hours after Tonga's win. Their house painted for the 2011 Rugby World Cup. The family deciding to flag changing it back, a decision approved by the obvious odd one out.
It's pretty sad that Toa Samoa didn't come out with the win, but
because you half Tongan and half Samoa.
Yeah, well now I'm half Tongan, you know, my Tongan in-laws, they're such great supporters.
All fans urged to be the same.
Today's match between Papua New Guinea and Ireland at the Oil Search National Football Stadium was sold out. It is the second successive RLWC 2017 match to be sold out in Papua New Guinea after a capacity crowd of 14,800 watched the Comores defeat Wales last weekend. With Ireland also winning their opening RLWC 2017 match against Italy last Sunday in Cairns, the clash between the Wolfhounds and Comores was vital in determining which team wins Pool C to secure a place in the quarterfinals. And we'll be back with all the Rugby League World Cup action in Trukai Sports up next. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Australian Rugby League Commission Chairman John Grant arrived in the country to witness the Comores' second match at the Oil Search National Football Stadium. He talked about the progress of the sport in the country, saying PNG Rugby League is heading in the right direction.
You've got to set your track as to where you want to get to, and then you've got to take one step at a time. And if you look at what the Hunters have been able to achieve in terms of measuring up to that elite level of football over the 4 years that they've been in that competition, that's the track, right? So that's the only way that you can improve, by playing against players who are better than you. So the more competition that PNG players can get through the intrust competition and through the international competition, then the better they will come. And then over the years they'll become more competitive, and that's the track that PNG's on. And full credit to PNG Rugby League and to the Hunters for taking PNG way down that track. It's great to see.
It was a tough and physical game for PNG against Ireland this afternoon. Added to that, missed opportunities the Comores had, but they held on to win 14 points to 6. Here are the highlights.
Teams coming out now. And they'll be all the better, won't they? A number of their players on line-up for the home team, as both sides are getting ready, standing by. Back infield, it's been allowed to bounce. There could be a try on coming. Oh, they've grounded it in the end. And the opening try goes to the Irish. Their fullback, Scott Grex, and the Irish lead 4-0 with a kick to come. Down Ottio. Gary Lowe, can he get there? He can't, but good rushing. Still going low. Still going. Oh, he's unstoppable. Gary Lowe goes in to score. Wayward pass. That's gone forward, I fancy. It's been towed on though by Watson Boas. Is the bounce going to be kind? Oh yes, indeed it is. And Watson Boas will go in to score for the Comores. And all but put a full stop on this match. It's been given by Matt Checken, and the crowd going absolutely crazy here in Port Moresby. Have a listen to it.
Tonga beat Samoa in an emotional clash that brought their fans closer together. For Tonga, the win means they can deny the Kiwis a home quarter-final.
It was an atmosphere like no other.
I was starting to get a bit emotional. I was getting goosebumps and that.
Emotionally, I've never felt like that.
The tone was set before kick-off with the ultimate show of unity.
An example in a controversial week.
A planned move by captains Frank Pritchard and Sika Manu the night before.
Show the people that we do care about them, and we want them to make peace with each other.
Today's generation, our youth, it's getting out of hand, and it's up to us to make a change.
The prayer left no time for the war dances to be performed separately, so they went toe to toe. And they still couldn't be separated early on. Michael Jennings and Jazz Tevanga trading blows. But instead of relying on Tonga's big names, up stepped Ata Hingano with 3 try assists.
Keeps the ball out, yes! Michael Jennings! Ilolo here to the line with an out ball and Marcelo! Now Hingano off a second man play, beautiful ball!
5 tries to 3 in the end, Manu Ma'u sealing Tonga's second win over Samoa in 10 years. Now they're looking to end an even longer drought against the Kiwis.
No Tier 2 nation has ever beaten a Tier 1 nation, so it's a massive ask.
Can you power through the middle of the Kiwis?
Look, we've got the forward pack.
A pack led by Jacinda, who'll be the centre of attention this week.
I think Jace will embrace the challenge. I think he'll really enjoy playing against New Zealand.
The stage set for yet another epic encounter in Hamilton.
Biting allegations have marred England's 29-10 win over Lebanon in the Rugby League World Cup.
Jermaine McGilvray was placed on report after Lebanon captain Robbie Farah alleged he was bitten by the winger.
You never like seeing any of those things happen on a footy field. I guess, I reacted to what happened. It's pretty clear for everyone to see, I think, on the replay, so that's all I say.
England's win all but secures them a spot in the quarter-finals. In Christchurch, New Zealand beat Scotland 74 points to 6 yesterday. Tamari Martin scored a hat-trick for the Kiwis and halfback Sean Johnson brought up a personal milestone.
And to versus Shep, Johnson's inside him. This could be the record. Sean Johnson, with that try, becomes the leading point scorer in Kiwis history.
And World Cup favourites Australia have had their biggest win under Mal Meninga with a 56-2 triumph over France in Canberra.
Star was Sharks forward Wade Graham with 4 tries in his first ever start for the Kangaroos.
They can't stop Wade Graham from that close. Smith, Clemmer, out the back, Munster. He's going to get a hat-trick in the first half. Munster into space, he gets himself 4.
That's something I've never dreamed of, mate. Obviously playing for Australia in the first place, but be able to score 4 tries, so, blown away.
France's best moment came in the first half when their Sydney born and raised fullback Mark Carella ran 95 metres for his team's only try. France has now suffered back-to-back defeats after losing their World Cup opener to Lebanon.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. 2-horse racing in the Melbourne Cup is just days away and punters are already checking out the favourites. Pacific Racing and Sports Betting Shop Director Peter McCoy says a 100,000 kina top cash prize will be up for grabs come Tuesday. He said it will be a fun-filled day, an opportunity not to be missed as there will be many chances to win.
No, there's no other entertainment. The focus is totally on the Cup. And you can win the win bets. You can win up to 100,000, and the other types of bets you can win to 60,000. And it's a very difficult race. So the people that don't know anything about racing, they have got just as good a chance of winning as anybody else.
You don't need to bet a lot to have entertainment and to enjoy the day. And we'll be open at 7:30, and we look forward to welcoming everybody.
9 open water swimmers competed in a 2.5-kilometre race this morning just off the Lancron Naval Base in Port Moresby. Medals were awarded for the top swimmers.
A perfect weather condition combined with warm temperatures provided the scene for the start of the race. 2 females competed against 7 men in the open water swim that they endured for 2.5 kilometres in a triangular circuit. Youngsters from Boroko Swimming Club, Moses Lorani and Ian Agora, led from the start, but Lorani took the lead minutes into the race before distancing himself from the rest of the swimmers. Ian Agora, who was second in the race, was followed by Martin Davies, while female Alice McPhillamy swam her way into the 4th place. Moses Lorani finished the race in a time of 23 minutes and 38 seconds for the gold medal, while Ian Agora took silver and Davies Martin won the bronze medal.
It was normal for me. Not cold, but just normal. But Yeah, we swim well. Maybe 2 kilometers or 1 kilometer a day swimming.
It's been a second time for us to come take part there. The last one, the first one was at September. So this was the second one. So at least we gained some confidence to come and take part on the second event.
Events coordinator Alice McPhillamy, who finished fourth in the race, wants to see more participants in the future.
I think it's good at the moment that we have small numbers, but certainly once we get a little bit more confidence and improve, have a bit more of an understanding of how to run an event like this, more awareness and always welcome to take more and more swims.
The next open water event will take place in 2018. Godwin Eki, National, EMTV Sports.
To football, Peru will arrive in New Zealand on Tuesday for their World Cup qualifier against the All Whites. Captain Paulo Guerrero will miss both legs after failing a drug test. It's a massive blow for the South Americans.
His impact on the field is undeniable, but Captain Paulo Guerrero's failed drug test means Peru now have a giant headache ahead of next Saturday's World Cup qualifier.
He is the star player. I would argue that he's peaking now compared to a few years back, and that's probably why he didn't go back to Europe.
The captain's star power clear to see with 6 goals in qualifying and a hand in a decisive 7th against Colombia, but it's losing his leadership that has fans worried.
If New Zealand score first, then it might be a problem. I'm not sure how the team will react because that leader is going to be missing.
Peru are desperate to make the World Cup finals for the first time since 1982. Such is the level of scrutiny that even Guerrero's mother has been chased by local media.
I know my son and he hasn't done anything wrong. He is calm and the lawyers and the doctor will see him in due course. He'll be fine.
It's unclear what substance Guerrero tested positive for. In a statement, Peru Football said Guerrero returned an adverse analytical result. They say he plays a very important role on and off the pitch, and Peru Football and the whole of Peru stand in solidarity with him.
He's a model professional. He's a really good captain, and he's been working for this. He's been working for this whole qualifying campaign, this whole career basically.
Guerrero's teammates have also come out in support of their captain, tweeting the caption, "Strength, brother." But one of them will have to take the burden of the captaincy with around 5 genuine contenders.
Farfan, who used to be a winger for Schalke, is now developed more of a number 9 role. And he will serve as a good backup, but the only problem is he doesn't have the leadership that Paulo has, and that's going to be a problem for the Peruvian national team.
If there was ever a chance to pounce for the All Whites, it's now.
Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Looking at the weather forecast for tonight in the southern region, mostly fine in Port Moresby, Kerema, Alotau and Popondetta, and fine and windy in Daru. In the Momase region, mostly fine in Lae, Medang and Wewak, and fine weather in Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine in Lorengau, a shower or two in Kavieng, thundery showers expected in Kokopo, Rabaul and Buka, and brief showers in Kimbe. And in the Highlands region, thundery showers in all centres. Forecast for small ships within 60 nautical miles from the coastline, waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island to Kerema, to Yule Island to Hood Point to Samari Island, and waters of Samari Island to Cape Bogle to Finschhafen, with waters of Finschhafen through Vitia Strait, Dampier Strait to Siasi Islands to Long Island, waters of north of Long Island to Medang to Bogia to Wewak to Aitape to Vanimo and northern PNG Indonesian border, seas of 1.5 to 2 meters. Waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, seas of 1 to 2 meters. Waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas of 0.5 to 1.3 meters. And waters of New Britain to New Ireland to Bougainville, seas of 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Ocean forecast for PNG areas for tonight and tomorrow. In the Coral Sea, seas moderate with southeast winds of 15 to 20 knots with isolated showers. In the Solomon Sea, seas slight to moderate with east to southeast winds of 10 to 20 knots with isolated showers and thunderstorms. In the Bismarck Sea, seas slight to moderate with southeast to easterly winds of 10 to 20 knots with isolated showers and thunderstorms. And in the Pacific Ocean, seas slight with east to southeast winds of 10 to 15 knots with isolated showers with thunderstorms.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. With doing with Dulux.
And before we go, here are the highlights of the Rugby League World Cup game against PNG Commonwealth and Ireland. It was a tough and physical game for PNG against Ireland this afternoon. Added to that, missed opportunities the Commonwealth had, but they held on to win 14 points to 6. Here are the highlights.
Teams coming out now. And they'll be all the better, won't they? A number of their players on line-up for the home team. As both sides are getting ready, standing by. Back infield, it's been allowed to bounce. There could be a try on coming. Oh, they've grounded it in the end. And the opening try goes to the Irish. Their fullback, Scott Grix, and the Irish lead 4-0 with a kick to come. Down Ottio. Gary Lowe! Gary Lowe, can he get there? He can't, but good rushing. Still going low! Still going! Oh, he's unstoppable! Gary Lowe goes in to score! Wayward pass, that's gone forward, I fancy. It's been towed on though by Watson Boas. Is the bounce going to be kind? Oh yes, indeed it is. And Watson Boas will go in to score for the Commonwealth. And all but put a full stop on this match. It's been given by Matt Checken and the crowd going absolutely crazy here in Port Moresby. Listen to it.
And that has been the news, sports and weather for Sunday, the 5th of November 2017. On behalf of the news team, pleasant viewing. Good night.